right, so the last stage of what I need to do is fill in all these different circles up here at the top with those tokens. Let me reset this. With those tokens I was just talking about, so I made just a little draw bag. And so what I'm going to do is one at a time, I'm going to seed into this top level all the different tokens. And once I seed the first 8, I'm going to reseed the first 4 of 8 again. And then once I have done that, I'm going to reseed the first 2 again. So it'll look essentially like this. All right, so there's the board seated. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I did 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I did 1, 2. So you have 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. And one of the actions you can take is to just take all the tokens from one of these circles and place them out on the board if you want. So if I took this one, I would have to put this in a region, commit a police action if I put it in a region where that would apply, and I would put out also a missionary creating demand somewhere and a smuggler creating more demand somewhere. You can't place these anywhere. They have to be adjacent essentially to places that already have missionaries or police agents. Here I could take 2 British flags, put them into my holdings in case there is a revolution to try and have the most influence of what's going to happen at a revolution. And additionally, I'd be able to put out a missionary somewhere and create more demand. Here, a missionary and a smuggler for more demand creation. Here, a smuggler and a merchant to help complete supply chains and create more demand. Here is just a police force. I just wanted to increase the police track. If I saw that there might be a revolution and I wasn't going to benefit from it, maybe I want to put out some more police so that it's harder for the revolution to happen. Here I could just take a flag to try and control the revolution when it happens. Same thing with this one. And here's another level 1 smuggler, which would help complete a supply chain and create demand. All right, so I'm going to try and play very poorly through some of this to kind of show you how it works. So I got it set up. There is 10 demand here. Over to the side over here, I set up my 3 companies. Another thing I should mention about the companies is the investment track and the revenue track. If they are ever aligned like this investment track is matching this revenue track into the bracket area, you can take no more investment action. So you could see right now, if I took an investment action with this company, I can do 1 investment action. It shows I still have 1 more investment action I can take. And then once I take that investment action, I can take no more investment actions unless I'm able to increase my revenue. Likewise, if I were to spend money and go down into the negatives, you can do that. Up to -4, and then took an investment action, well then I wouldn't be able to take any more investment actions this round. Each round, at the beginning of each new round, this resets to 0. So you're always able to do 1 investment action each round, regardless of how little money you have. All right, so here's the start player token. I'm going to say going this way is going to go down my track. So it would go from the top to the bottom. If it's ever going this way, it'll go from bottom to top. All right, so gold is the first person, so they can look at the board and they can decide what do they want to do. So what can they do? One thing they can do is make an investment and put something into, I'm going to take the red one. All right, one thing they can do is make an investment, and by doing that, they would be placing something into their holdings area up here to then put out on the board later. Another thing they can do is place something from their holdings area onto the board. So I can invest to get something into my holdings, and then once anything that's in my holdings can be placed as a separate action out onto the board. Okay, the other thing I can do is a conspiracy action, which is to take the counters from up here and place them out on the board somewhere. I could lower my prices. So if I had a token on the red player, let's say the red player had somehow managed to get this merchant or bureaucrat or whatever it is here in this supply region, and I thought he might be threatened, I could lower his value if I wanted to do that. Not raise it, just lower it. And the other thing I could do is just pass. And if I pass, I'm ending my turn. And that is where I would decide, do I want to put one of my scions up here? So one of the things I guess I should do is look at one of these two tokens. So if I were to look at this, I go, okay, I know there's at least the chance of making 1 point during this round. Now, this one up here could be a 0, it could be a -1, it could be a 2, it could be a 3, I don't know. But I know that I could make one point. And if I want to make 1 point, then I'm going to want to have the highest value scion here and get it there earlier than anyone else. Because if I were to match somebody at the value of my scion and got it there after them, I would get second choice. You can see there's 2 prizes, 3 players, 1 person's not going to get a prize. All right. Maybe nobody wants a prize if they've seen that it's negative. Of course, you only know what part of the information is. All right, so red player, or no, not red player, orange player to start. So what's he going to do? I'll just do different things for everybody. So let's just say he is going to invest in opium. So he's going to take this token, all right, and he's going to put it in his holdings area, all right, up above his little display, and that is 1 investment action. And so then he moves that up like so. All right, so the blue player, what's he? Oh, and then immediately, since he is the only person with opium out there, he's going to take his little leader token and he's going to put it as the opium leader spot. All right, blue player might decide to invest in shipping. That is 1 investment action. He puts the shipping token up there. He immediately becomes the shipping leader. So maybe he takes this and puts it over in the shipping area. All right, now it's the red player's turn. If he wanted to, he could invest in shipping also, which would reduce blue's lead in shipping. Also, something he could do is invest in opium, and that would reduce, take away the opium player's which you have leadership in that position. Or obviously he could also put a merchant, invest in a merchant out there. And there's no actually investment cost for this. If you put a merchant up here, there's no cost because as it says on the merchant token, it has a value of 0. All right, so that is something else he could do. Or he could do something different entirely. He could work with one of these areas up here. So he could try and create demand somewhere else. He could see that there's a lot of police forces out here. So maybe he goes, you know what, I'm going to take, that's my action. Maybe he's going to take these, this conspiracy action. He would take these 2 British flags, put them into his holding area, and then he would get to place the missionary out on the board. You can only place a missionary adjacent to another missionary. So the only one we have out here so far is in section A. So he could place this one in section B, and then he's able to create demand. Now, here there is 10 demand in section A, region A. Is there opportunity to sell here? Yes, there is, because this die matches the 4 die up here. The 6 die matches the 6 die up there. The dice, to create opportunity, have to have a matching component up there. So now by placing this missionary in region B, red, if he wants, he would take any one of these die that he wants and he could roll it. So for example, if he took the 3 and rolled it, no matter what he rolled, he knows there are all 6 numbers up there. There's going to be guaranteed demand in this region. If he wanted to, he could take the 4 or the 6, all right, and reduce the opportunity in this region by rolling this die, and then he wouldn't know if he rolled a 6, he also wouldn't have any opportunity. He could create demand by rolling a 6, but he wouldn't have opportunity to fulfill that demand if the dice and the region did not match any of the dice in the die pool. So there are different things he could do. So he could, write off region A, and then by reducing the opportunity in region A. But he's just going to play it safe for now. So he's going to take a 3. He's going to roll it. He rolls a 5. So the 5 will go in this region. There is a 5 demand, and opportunity exists because there's also a 5 up in the dice pool. All right, so now we go back to the orange player. So he was the person who invested in opium. So something he could do is place the opium out into this region to try and fulfill the demand. There's opportunity because these dice match up here, and there's demand of 10. So he could set this in one of these supply chains if he wanted to, and try to fulfill the demand. So the demand is 10. These supply chains have already 1 of 10 points there. This looks like a smaller supply chain. This is an even smaller supply chain. So what's he going to do? Let's just say he puts his token there. So now there is a 4 out of the 10 requirement. It's not a completed supply chain yet because there are 2 open spots. If at any point one of these British flags were ever occupying this region, you would no longer need to fulfill 2 ocean spots, only the 1. These 2 would merge into 1 space. But that would require a revolution to happen to get this out there. Additionally, if you're going to place a ship, you can only place in the outer region. You can never place in the inner region. But if the 2 areas merge, then you can place your ship in the merged region. All right, so now it's the blue player's turn. He invested in shipping. And so he sees, look, there's opportunity. We already have a 3-4 supply chain. If he sets his ship to 3, that's going to take it up to a 7. All right. All they need is something to fill this spot, which would be a smuggler, which someone could take a smuggler from here. You have to take everything, but they could take that smuggler. Or there's a smuggler there, and there's a smuggler there, and there's one by itself over on the side over here. So this looks like a supply chain on its way to completion. All right, now it's the red person's turn. All they had done was, on their last turn, is taking conspiracy. They haven't invested in anything. They haven't put anything into their holdings. So what he could do if he wanted to was invest in one of these 2 fields, either opium or shipping, and try to undercut them. As of right now, there's only 1 opium crate out for orange on the board, and there's none in the supply. So let's just say, just to show you, let's just say red is going to invest in opium. So he's going to take 1 investment action, moving it from 0 to 1, and he's going to place this in his holdings. All right, now that that is there in the holding area, because there's 1 red opium and 1 yellow opium, this yellow opium leader would come off the board. So now orange has to consider what he's going to do. Orange could take a smuggler and put it in here and complete the chain, but orange knows that, you know what, I am no longer the opium leader. I have a very high opium level. If I don't cover my butt, the red player might undercut me by putting in a 2-level opium, or a 1-level opium, or a 0-level opium. So what the orange player is going to do is he's going to invest in another opium, taking his next investment action, and now on his player board he's taken 2 investment actions. It matches his revenue area. He can take no more investment actions, but he puts his holding up there. Now that he has 1, 2 out there, he gets to place his opium leader token back up here. It's blue player's turn. Blue is going to take these two tokens, or no, what's he gonna do? Well, sure, why not? He's gonna take these two tokens. He's gonna take this one missionary, put it in here, which is going to create a demand in this region. So that means he's gonna take a die. Let's say he takes the 5 and he re-rolls it. All right, he rolled a 3. So this now has a 3-level demand, and he's going to take the smuggler, and he's going to put the smuggler, which is a 0-level smuggler, here. And so now the supply chain is complete. So the next thing you have to see is the value of all the top numbers equal to or less than this. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. It is equal to or less than. So what's going to happen is a cube would be placed here, showing that that has been met. Each player is going to take revenue, and the lowest die value is going to be removed from the area and placed back up into the die pool. So now there's only 6 demand here. So yellow is going to increase their revenue by 3, or their revenue. So they go from 0 to 1, 2, 3. Blue is going to increase their revenue to 3. So like orange, they're going to go from 0 to 1, 2, 3, meaning blue now has 2 more investment actions he can make. Orange has now opened himself up to an additional investment action. All right. All right, so now it would be red's turn. If red wanted to, let's see, he can't undercut anyone because there's 2 leaders, and red only has 1 investment action left to take. So maybe what he'll do is maybe he will take his opium and he'll put it in, let's see, there's a 5 demand there. He could put it in this region if he wants to. He could put, let's see, there's a level 1 smuggler and a level 0 smuggler out there, plus that. So actually, maybe before he does this, to grab, but then someone else might move in. It won't be undercut. Of course, see, here's the thing. He has to decide, all right, if he puts this out here, orange already has another investment token sitting over here. And orange can't be undercut at this point because he's the leader. So even though there's nobody here, if red put this out at a value 3, when it's orange's turn, orange could come in, undercut him, and say, I'm willing to sell it at 2. And additionally, because at this point orange can't be undercut, red couldn't lower it to 1. So then red would have to think, well, I could put it in at a value 1, meaning if he was undercut, the orange player could undercut him, but he wouldn't be able to make any money off of it. Which orange, if he just wanted to stop him from making money, he could do that. So let's just say red does that. Red says, you know what? I'm afraid I could be undercut. I'm going to take a level 1 value opium in that region. So it goes back to orange. All right, so now orange could undercut him if he wants, or he could expand investment. There's a 3 demand here. There's 6 demand there. He has an opium available to put somewhere. Let's see. What he could do actually is before he invests, he could take, what were they? These 2 tokens. All right, so you have a smuggler and merchant, and he could place these in this region. Or can he place these? Now I need to check. Can these be placed? I think they could be placed in any region, but I can't remember if they need to be placed adjacent or if that's just the missionary. Okay, yeah, this needs to be placed adjacent to another smuggler. I can't just throw them in over here, and there's no smugglers in that region over there. So I could go back to region 1 then and place the smuggler here in this region, creating more demand. So maybe I take the 4 and I roll the 4 and I get a 2. So now there's 8 demand here, and I can take the merchant and put him up here somewhere. And now there is the start of a new supply chain. And so maybe when it comes back around, yellow will invest his opium in this supply chain. All right, it's Blue's turn. So does Blue want to, he doesn't have any holdings. Does he want to make an investment? He sees what's going on here. Maybe Blue wants to do another shipping investment here. But just, yeah, okay, I'll have him do it, and I'll have Red do something else. So Blue's going to invest in shipping, so that's an investment action. So he goes from 1 to 2, leaving him with 1 investment left. He's going to put this in his holdings. All right, so now it's Red's turn. All right, something else Red could do is he has this merchant that he could, for free, put up here into his holdings, or he could do this special envoy action, which costs an investment. And he's going to do that. And so he's going to increase this up to 2, and then he's going to place the token up there. And what that means is now in any region, whether there's, let's see, opportunity or not, opportunity meaning a dice here has to match a dice in the dice pool, whether there's opportunity or not, he could place something into that region. You can only place into a region if there is opportunity. And so, but the way around that is by creating a special envoy. Additionally, having a special envoy can allow you to fulfill and place in the merchant spots, which are not allowed except by the yellow merchants unless a region has been opened by the British government, meaning there's a flag up there. And if there's a flag up there, then you can place your merchants into this area. But if it's not opened by the British, if it's still a closed port controlled by the Chinese and not the British, you cannot place your merchants onto their land area. You need these like smugglers working for you to do that. So by taking the special envoy action, he would be able to get somebody up into this supply chain that's being started. And so then what would happen essentially is Yellow would take their turn and they could take their opium. There is now 8 demand up here. There's only 1 being met here. He'll put in a 3 to make it a level 4. Blue could come in with a level 3 also. So now there is 3, 6, 7 out of an 8 demand spot. And Red could send his special envoy in at a level 1 and place it up here. If he placed higher than the demand, then this wouldn't pay out. So he could do that. I mean, he could put in a high value up there to stop it. But let's say he goes there so that he gets some revenue. Blue would increase by 3, orange by 3, red by 1. Additionally, he could be doing this also to kind of like screw them over later, because then he can come in with a police action and break up the supply chain. Now, if you break up a supply chain, any revenue you made, you lost. So right now, Blue's going to go up 3 on the revenue track. But if this supply chain is broken, Blue would go down 3 on the revenue track. And that's something that you have to take into consideration. So hopefully this explains a little bit how it works. There's more to it. Obviously, it goes into other rounds. Supply chains are being broken. Revolution might be breaking out. Things like this. But as it stands right now, I just want to give you kind of a basic overview of how it works.